I just want to thank EndCAN for the opportunity for this disruption paper contest, because some of these ideas are disruptive. They're absolutely going to shift the paradigm.
I hope that you asked why neglect. Why do we think that neglect is an area to start for disruption? But many people don't realize just what a large proportion neglect is of child maltreatment referrals in this country.
Neglect is not something that we've made a lot of headway in. We have reduced physical abuse, we have reduced sexual abuse, and that's amazing, that's great. But we have not done that with neglect, and so we think it's time that we pay attention to this important area. So we want to think about how the economy affects child maltreatment. We want to think about how the minimum wage or increasing the minimum wage can affect child maltreatment. We want to think about how employment policies and how we can support working families can help child maltreatment. Because what we of course want are people working, people being independent, having enough money to pay for their needs, their families' needs, their medical needs, but we want to see them do that in a way that doesn't put kids at risk of abuse, of maltreatment, or other kinds of neglect. The car safety seat is something every kid has to ride in, not just the kids that we think are at risk of neglect. Every kid rides in a car safety seat. So these same systems that we want to make sure are available for kids in homes with neglect or other kinds of maltreatment, all of our kids are benefiting from that. It's a rising tide lifts all boats kind of analogy, and we think that's great because, you know, again, what we're really striving for is not less neglect. We are striving for that too. We want child well-being. We want to raise the bar. And so having these macro level policies can make parenting and childhood better, not just for kids that are at risk of neglect, but all of our kids and families.
We can change the way we think about child welfare. The words "your child has leukemia" has a totally different response from us as a society, as us as service providers, than "your child has been maltreated." Both sets of parents enter into a world that is fast-paced, full of fear, worry, and anxiety. Both sets of parents enter this world involuntarily. There's not a parent that says, "Hey, my child wants cancer," or "Hey, please come get my kids, I just maltreated them."
Even though a child has leukemia or has been maltreated, the whole family's impacted by it. And so what can we do better with families in terms of treatment, services, wraparound, and the really big one is aftercare. You know, not walking away from the child welfare system and never having any kind of support. You know, in theory, we've been supporting them for up to a year, and then we just say, "Thanks for being here," and off they go.
The current paradigm for CAN prevention is inadequate for 3 reasons. 1, access to resources access is not ubiquitous, due in part to societal disparities. Stigma prevents people from accessing resources, and the average individual is not aware of their role in preventing CAN in their everyday lives. We will use hand washing as an example. Clear, ubiquitous messaging is across all settings. Everyone feels entitled to clean water and soap in any bathroom or restroom they visit. They feel entitled to tell others to wash their hands, and they know how to model the behavior. Similarly, we propose clear and ubiquitous messaging about CAN prevention, adjusted for audience. We propose to foster entitlement to CAN prevention resources and healthy relationships. Everyone would be able to embrace, actualize, and model safe and healthy interpersonal interactions and behaviors.
I think the paradigm shift has to happen at all levels of society so that we get to the point where society expects and demands the right to education and services and a healthy way of functioning within the entire community, where every single person deserves treatment that is relationship-based, healthy, educational, that they can take these things beyond their own generation to other generations to not only protect children, but also to protect people from becoming perpetrators of abuse and neglect.
The program that we're doing, the Best Start for Families, it actually comes from a model, which is a public health model. And that public health model means that all parents, all caregivers should get the support of a community-based, strengths-based program that supports them to achieve their best, but also to recognize their strengths and build upon them.
and we've demonstrated that in some of the other literature, that by supporting parents and families and integrating those resources, those prevention resources, in delivery care settings that already exist, we can impact multiple outcomes for those children across health. So reduced obesity, increase academic achievement, increase well-being and health in general. And so from that perspective, I think prevention is it's the answer.